All right, folks, you've asked for it, and we have brought back a great longtime friend of the show, DC Bureau Chief for The Intercept, the one and only Ryan Grimm. Great to see you, my friend.
Very excited to be here.
We missed you, man.
Yeah, we have
missed you guys, too.
Yeah, so Ryan, of course, has been over at Rising. The show's taped at the same time, so finally now we have an opportunity to bring him back into our little world here as well. So let's start with some of your latest reporting. Let's go ahead and throw this up on the screen. Crypto PAC throws in $1 million to back Ohio Representative Shontel Brown over Nina Turner. Progressives are confronting a new obstacle as big spending from the crypto industry reshapes the electoral calculus. So Ryan, there's a couple pieces of this that are really important. First of all, there's the piece of the amount of money that is flooding into this race of Shontel Brown versus Nina Turner, a lot of it coming from not great places. There's the piece of the Progressive Caucus endorsing Shontel Brown and sort of aligning with this corporate money that is flooding into the race. But then there's also a bigger story about crypto asserting itself in DC and becoming a sort of top influence peddler in a very short period of time.
Right. The Shontel Brown piece is interesting, and it's a high profile race because it's got that establishment progressive wing feel to it. But the piece is more broadly about this kind of new player on the field, which is crypto, and what they've been able to do because they have so much kind of disposable crypto cash, that they can target individual races and come in with huge amounts of money. Like I wrote about how they've already dropped $6 million and counting in this one sleepy Oregon Democratic primary.
And what's the reason for that?
Well, I mean, I think basically the reason is to elect this guy, Carrick Flynn, who worked for Sam Bankman-Fried's brother. And he grew up in Oregon and has spent like 10 years abroad, worked as a lobbyist and a researcher in DC. And then he moved back in the summer of 2020, and now this crypto PAC is throwing millions of dollars behind him to elect him.
Tell people who Sam Bankman-Fried is.
He's this really fascinating, kind of eccentric, like philosopher guy, right? And he's 30 years old. Forbes puts his wealth at like $24 billion. He was a trader who left the kind of world of dollar trading and currency trading and got into crypto. And he built FTX, one of this gigantic crypto exchange. And so all of his money's tied up in crypto. And he is what they call it an effective altruist. And so in his whole life, he's been like, he says he went into investment banking basically, went to Wall Street to make a lot of money so he could give it away. On this Peter Singer utilitarian, like that's how you make the world.
Yeah, this is very big in Silicon Valley. Sam Altman is a big proponent of effective altruism. I think a lot of it is cringe, but
I mean, the basic idea, as far as I understand, you could tell me if I'm wrong about this, is effectively these are people who are saying like, we're going to crunch the numbers to figure out what is the greatest amount of good that we could do for the least amount of dollars. The reason I'm always skeptical, which I understand why someone would say, oh, that's great. And if I'm a genuine do-gooder, that might be a good approach. The reason I'm always skeptical of these things is you can't run a math formula to figure out your values.
Right.
So that's the part that seems to be like a little bit lacking with the philosophy, in my opinion.
And it's trying to, in some ways it's trying to hack politics or trying to get around politics, trying to pretend like it's not a conflict over scarce resources. And then it raises the question, okay, if you're doing that, how does spending $1 million on Shontel Brown fit into this idea?
The greatest good for the greatest number of people.
That's what I want to get into. Because look, I'm pro-crypto, everybody knows that here. And I do think, these crypto PACs, I don't think necessarily speak for the crypto community. Part of the problem is when everybody gets fantastically wealthy, everybody starts just throwing cash around and be like, I'm the person who's spoken for crypto.
That's a great point.
And what I'm curious about on Shontel is like, what has she said in the past about crypto? Is she on the books as crypto, or is there some, pro-crypto, or is there some like backdoor stuff happening?
I can't find much, but the way this tends to work is that these organizations, and this is not just unique to crypto, but you have Pro-Israel Group, Sunrise Movement, everybody. They give surveys to candidates, and then the candidate answers the survey. And if the survey comes back with the right answers,
you get money.
This is an A+. Here's $6 million.
Let me also say, somewhat less diplomatically, that Shontel Brown is someone who is more likely to be able to be bought than Nina Turner. So,
And does she care one way or the other? It's like,
is she committed to crypto or have some like fully developed worldview? No. So if a crypto PAC comes in with $1 million in her race, when it comes down the road and they want specific things to be regulated or not regulated, she's likely to just do what they want because she's kind of unformed.
Right, and she got a couple $1 million from DMFI PAC, Democratic Majority for Israel, during her last campaign. And she's recently, was one of only about 20 Democrats or so to sign this letter that was like a very, hawkishly pro-Israel letter. It's like, so Shontel Brown all of a sudden is becoming like this very hawkishly pro-Israel candidate. But I think your point is really interesting about how they don't speak for the crypto community.
No, yeah.
Because Citizens United has allowed this unlimited spending in the race. So one person can come in and drop $6 million in this race. And they also it looks like they gave $1 million to House Majority PAC, which is the Democrat super PAC.
Right.
And they dropped it on the race. So it's like double blind.
Well, so that was my next question to you. Krystal alluded to this during our show, which is that there has been pressure, maybe you can expose some of this, by Democratic leadership on the Progressive Caucus and others in order to explicitly endorse Shontel Brown and not to just stay out of the race with Nina Turner. Can you speak to that in any way?
So we did, and we teamed up with the Lever on this to do a bunch of reporting about how this process worked. And there's some people who felt like there was a thumb put on the scale and that they should have like stayed out, just completely stayed out of it. Whereas others we talked to said that, there were 8. So basically Shontel Brown joined the CPC like immediately upon winning. She then signed on to Medicare for All, became a sponsor of that. And Pramila Jayapal thanked her publicly. And so there is basically a process in place that if you're a member of the CPC PAC endorses you. It would be kind of strange if you didn't. Right. But there still was a vote of 8. There was a slate of like 8 members who asked for the endorsement of the CPC PAC, and it just kind of went through. There wasn't any kind of internal fight over it. So the real decision was, who put her on that list rather than pulling it out and saying, you know what, this is actually a pretty big deal. Like, this is not something that you should just go through pro forma.
Right.
Well, and I mean, the other thing is she's in the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She's also in the New Democrat Caucus, which is like, the two things don't make any. They completely. They should be banned.
Join both of those.
And so there's also a question of like, a Congressional Progressive Caucus will just let anybody in and doesn't have to actually stand with their values or share their ideology ultimately. On the crypto PAC thing, I think this is so interesting because it is just another like form of influence peddling. And my understanding isn't Sam Bankman-Fried. His mother is also a big Democratic donor in California.
I think so. Yeah.
Barbara Fried is my understanding. And so it also seems like another sort of big money interest group that is trying to influence the Democratic Party writ large, not just in these individual races.
Right. And if, let's say there were 5 million people who own crypto and like agree with Saagar and they love, they follow Saagar, relentless. And I was like, this guy's right. Like, crypto.
Don't give people ideas, man.
Yeah. And they wanted to get together and each contribute. That's different. Like, okay,
100%.
that's a grassroots effort to like push forward something that like the public wants.
And that's actually much more in the spirit of crypto.
It should,
having a unilateral billionaire who, got lucky on a trade, like, let's all be honest here.
Right.
And then,
all of a sudden.
I've seen this constantly. Guys who bought Bitcoin in 2011 now think they're like philosopher kings. And they have the money. Look, you made a good bet. That's great. It worked out fantastically for you. That doesn't mean that you like know everything under God's earth.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have really get it to their head. So I think it's interesting in those two concepts, Ryan, just around both power, how it's the crypto people are spending it, but really I'm just the most curious on that House Majority donation and whether that's linked to some other money, just simply because we know via Nancy Pelosi and some of these other Silicon Valley financier connections via like a Reid Hoffman, who's, as I understand, the biggest Democratic donor.
Probably.
Maybe outside of George Soros.
Yeah. Right. And so for people following along, so there's the Senate Majority PAC and the House Majority PAC, and those are the super PACs basically run by Schumer and run by Pelosi. And all of a sudden, this PAC dropped $1 million on this race, where Bankman-Fried had already spent $6 million. And so all of the candidates collectively put out a statement saying, like, where'd this money come from?
Yeah, for a House race, this is
what was it?
Right?
What was it offered?
Right.
Because House Majority PAC isn't just out. It should be a safe district. I think there's a good chance they'll end up losing it because of all of this weirdness.
Because it's a terrible landscape for Democrats in general.
Terrible landscape. And if it becomes clear that crypto bought the nominee, then how's that going to play in the general election?
Well, there's a funny detail in your story too about how there's another candidate in the race who decided, like, you know what? I'm going to get in. It's not just about the issues. You got to have money. So I'm going to get into crypto. I'm going to make a bunch of money, and then I'm going to run for Congress.
A whole long game.
And right. And so this other crypto PAC is sort of bigfooting the actual crypto candidate.
He spent $2.5 million so far of his own money.
Of his own money.
Crypto money.
He
had run
really
4
something.
times before. He had run.
He's got to be losing his mind.
He had run as a Progressive Party candidate, 5%.
Okay.
Ran as a Green Party candidate, got 4%. Ran as an independent party, which is hilarious. I love it when there's an independent party.
Yeah.
How can you be both? So he ran as that. He got 3% for Senate. Then he ran a 4th time and dropped out. And then he said, I need to go get rich. And he got into crypto, made a bunch of money. And he's like, I'm going to buy this seat. And he's spending all of his crypto. I don't know how much crypto he has. He's spending a lot of crypto. And then boom, Sam Bankman-Fried's like, you think you're rich?
Here we go.
I got $24 billion.
So what do you know? What are their priorities? What do they actually want to get with this money?
Saagar would actually know better, but basically I think they just don't want regulation and taxes.
Well, it depends, right? Which is that there's a lot going on in terms of realized gains because this capital gains applies on that. But as I get it, it's actually less to do with Congress and more with the executive branch because a lot of this comes under the Department of the Treasury. Federal Reserve wants to do its own stable coin. And then there's also not disclosure requirements, but basically if they crack down on the way that this is getting deep, so I'm sorry. But it comes into the context of the actual mining itself and the types of way. If you write the law in a specific way, you will actually disincentivize mining, which is the backbone of the blockchain, and it would make it so that it moves outside US borders, which is not really what you want. Because, I mean, look, for all of the criticism and all that, the people who are mining Bitcoin in China or in Odessa in Ukraine were doing so with actually very dirty energy. So there's also an energy use perspective. There's a national security thing about where exactly blockchain mining and all that is held. So it gets pretty deep, but that's really, if you care a lot about it, where a lot of the focus
and that's
is.
where they want to be. They want to be.
There you go.
Yeah, they want a seat at that table.
So I think the important thing is some of their priorities may align with yours, some of them may not. And the fact that you have this big money flooding in is shaping our political system just like any other big money interest group.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you as always.
Thanks
Wonderful.
for having me
man.
by here.
It's great to
Great
have
to
you
have
back.
you.
We're going to have more stuff with you, so it's great to see you, my friend.
Can't wait.
Yep.
We will see you guys later.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.